Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Alexis Baker, and she's with Bridgetown Music Therapy. So we're going to talk about music today. So good morning, Alexis.
Good morning, Kim. Good to see you.
So anyway, I'm super excited. I love music, so this will always be good. Anytime we can talk about music is always a good thing. But today we're actually going to talk about dementia and the power of music. And so I think a lot of people have an idea that music seems to be, bring out memories that people don't normally, think about. But kind of backing it up a little bit so that our listeners kind of get the full idea about, music therapy. Can you tell us about, music therapy, what it is, and how is it different than just simply turning on the radio and listening to music?
Yes, for sure. A lot of people have that question because most people love music in some way and they think, well, music is my therapy. And that's true. It's a very therapeutic avenue for people. I want to just quickly mention what it takes to become a music therapist, to give a perspective on that. It is a very well-organized, well-researched field and profession. So it is a minimum entry-level bachelor's degree along with 1,200 clinical hours of training. And then the person pursuing that path needs to take a board certification exam. And the degree itself is really like a double major. It's a combination of art and science. So there's the whole music path where you're taking theory and ear training and music history and all that, and studying various instruments. And then there's the psychology and the theory of therapeutic practice. So it is very involved, and you come out as a well-rounded therapist who can work with many different populations. So music therapists work with babies in the NICU all the way through end of life in hospice care and palliative care. So any age, any population. And music therapy is really set apart from simply listening to music or going to a concert in that it is a formal therapeutic practice. So we're completing assessments and doing treatment plans and evaluations and things like that with our clients, so that it's actually focused on achieving goals. It's a very goal-oriented thing. So that is the main thing that sets it apart. It's the training music therapists go through, and that it is a formalized, goal-oriented treatment.
So tell our listeners why music seems to resonate with individuals with dementia. They may not remember people, but they tend to remember music. Why is that?
Yeah, sometimes it seems unexplainable. Sometimes it's just this like magical thing that happens, but music affects a person at the physiological level. So it is actually affecting the brain, the heart, the soul. It taps into the emotion centers of the brain, the communication abilities, the speech and language centers of the brain. It can help create new neural pathways. It can, and specifically with dementia, which is a condition that heavily affects the brain and really starts to cause it to deteriorate. Music can be kind of a workaround for areas of the brain that are breaking down to tap into those past memories, to help a person with their communication abilities. Music is a natural motivator, so it can get a person moving. All the different elements of music, the rhythm, the timbre, melody, pitch, harmony, lyrics, all the different elements really work together and work in different ways to affect change in the body and the brain at a physiological level. It's quite sciencey when you look at it more in depth. But just from the outsider view, it's like, what is happening? It can look like such a magical thing almost.
Well, I think, too, like a song will come on and you'll think, and it just brings me back to a time in my past. It triggers memories, and so, it just makes you want to get up and dance and everything. So, and
Absolutely.
so let's talk about your experiences. Can you tell a story so that it kind of resonates with our listeners about, how music therapy impacted, someone with dementia?
Yes, I have many, many stories. It's hard to pick which one, because I've seen so many amazing, wonderful things in my work of just the positive impact of music. One of my favorite things to witness with the power of music is helping a person find their voice again. And I can think of two instances. One was with a woman with a stroke. She had a stroke and had lost the ability to speak. Um, and I knelt down to her level, made eye contact with her, and just started singing a song that I thought would be familiar to her. You Are My Sunshine. It's familiar to many, many people. And to the amazement of staff, family members, their jaws dropped. She started audibly singing. So even though she wasn't able to audibly speak, somehow through the music, she was audibly singing. And oftentimes that can be the start of the path to recovery or rehabilitation and regaining speech and language abilities. Another instance was a man with very advanced Alzheimer's, and in the later stages, a lot of times just all speaking ability it just starts to disintegrate, and it could be word salad where they're just saying things and it doesn't really make sense anymore, or they're just are not speaking altogether. But oftentimes, family members are surprised in the later stage where they still have the physical ability to speak, but it's just few and far between. Oftentimes, music can be a catalyst for that. And it was Christmas time, and this older gentleman who pretty much didn't speak anymore just began belting out a Christmas song, and he had the most beautiful, rich voice, and it just allowed him this opportunity to express himself, to contribute to the care setting and share his voice with others, and it was just beautiful. It really sticks with me.
I bet it made me cry a lot. So, when those kind of things happen, you just think, "Oh my God, what a miracle."
Yes, exactly.
And so what does research say about how music affects the brain? Specifically with people with dementia.
Yeah, great question. There has been a lot of research, especially more recently, I would say in the past decade, on music and dementia. I think the big areas are how it can help with social interaction, social connection. So it gives opportunities for family members to interact in a positive way with their loved one living with dementia. It can help with the memories, the language and the speech and language abilities. There's all kinds of things, and I'm not the biggest expert on the research, but it is exciting to see all the research being done. Um, a little more specifically in how music can be something that helps decrease pharmacological interventions. So it can, and again, it's like, but how? But it's something that can even help decrease like um, those pharmacological interventions, and then like overall cost of care, because at the end of the day, It's about helping to manage the challenging behaviors, helping with quality of life. And a lot of times pharmaceuticals are used for that. But if we can have other interventions that kind of come in and take the place of that, or at least help decrease, then that's really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And so you always want to do less meds than rather than more if at all possible.
Yeah.
So how can caregivers integrate music therapy, into their daily routines with loved ones who have dementia?
Yeah. One of my passions and goals as a music therapist is to help empower and equip family caregivers. And it could also be caregivers in a formal care setting, but family caregivers especially, because they shoulder a very heavy burden in caring for their loved one living with dementia. And a lot of times we forget the most simple things. And we just need to be reminded. I want to mention a book project that I was a part of this year. It was a collaborative book where 21 different authors came together and each contributed a chapter to this book. It's called The Caregiver's Advocate. I highly recommend it. And I was able to contribute a chapter called Sparking Joy and Connection, 7 Ways to Infuse Music into Dementia Caregiving. And so in this chapter, I explain the why behind incorporating music and how it can help, and then go through some really practical ideas and concrete tips and ideas for how to do it. And it really comes down to fairly simple things, but it's just like telling them what those things are. And it's like singing, dancing, moving, playing an instrument, um, writing a song, recording music, and then a couple others. There's seven total. And just really breaking it down into digestible bits where they can feel empowered to know what to do, because a lot of times people are intimidated by music. Like if they don't consider themselves a musician, they kind of shy away from doing anything music related. They might be self-conscious about their voice or dancing or anything like that, but those are the things that actually bring us together, connect us as humans. And it's just getting over those little humps of like, but how, like, where do I even start? So yeah, just practical tips and ideas. I would encourage you to check out that book. And then of course there's my program and other music therapist program and other dementia-friendly music programs out there. There's lots of resources out there. A lot of times it's just difficult to find. So feel free to reach out to myself or another music therapist and just ask, like, what can I do? What resources are out there?
Perfect. But how do you see this field of music therapy evolving? Because we've got a lot more people that are getting diagnosed with dementia. And so how do you see that? How do you see that changing and evolving?
Well, there are only 10,000 music therapists in the US, and so not very many. Not enough to serve everyone. And those music therapists don't all work in dementia care, and not even all of them are actively practicing as a music therapist. So there's a huge need. But in addition to that, there's a huge need for funding. It's very difficult to access services when they're out of reach financially. So one of my goals as a music therapist was to provide a high quality, highly accessible, and affordable alternative to formal music therapy. So that's what I'm doing with my virtual music engagement program for dementia care settings and individuals living at home, being cared for at home by a family caregiver. But music therapy services can often be difficult to access, either geographically or the cost is just too great for family caregivers. So it's kind of disheartening at times. It's like I'm working so hard to try to make a difference in this space, and we are making progress. Music is gaining more awareness and recognition for the value and benefit it brings to the dementia care space, and that's exciting to see. So there's a lot of progress happening, a lot of work to be done, and it's just happening little by little.
So, Alexis, why did you decide to become a music therapist?
It's a few different reasons for me. I have always loved music. I grew up in a family where music was supported and valued, started taking lessons at a young age, started playing guitar at the age of 10 and fell in love with that instrument, and I've been playing it ever since. I knew I wanted to do some kind of helping profession. So I thought about maybe nursing or counseling and psychology, but in the back of my mind, I thought I want to do something that incorporates music. However, I didn't want to go the traditional routes of music performance or music education. So I learned about music therapy when I was 16, and I thought, that sounds like exactly something I'd want to do. And it just kind of clicked with me. It's like I just knew it was the path I was supposed to go on. And I started looking into it, researching what music therapy is, because I didn't really know what it was at first, how to become a music therapist, all of that. And it just made so much sense to me because it's the perfect combination of helping people and using music. So I haven't looked back since I was 16. And then I've always loved older adults. My grandmother had Alzheimer's disease. She was diagnosed when I was a young child, and she passed away when I was 16. So that was another very impactful experience in my life, where she was my real first exposure to dementia. And I saw how sad of a condition it can be, but then also the joy. Like, it's such this mixture of, there's still joy in the diagnosis, and she's still alive, she's still a person, all of that. She still has family and meaning in life, but she's slowly losing herself.
Yeah.
So it was very impactful at that age to see my grandmother towards the very end, like, not know my name, not know I was her grandchild. And then also to see the positive impact of music with her.
Perfect. So, Alexis, if somebody wants to find you, they want to be part of your program, how do they do that?
Well, I can be reached from our website. We have a contact us button. It's Bridgetown, spelled how it sounds, MT, M as in music, T as in therapy.com, bridgetownmt.com, and just find the contact us button. And that's how we can be reached. And all our info is on the website.
Perfect. And so, Alexis, it's been great. And so thank you for being on the show, and we look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank you so much, Kim.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.